Hey everybody, so I'm going to show you how to use InDesign today for the purpose of our adjective noun pair assignment. This is basic InDesign. If you know how to use InDesign, use it before. This is going to seem pretty rudimentary, but look at it anyways because I sort of talk about elements of the assignment as well, so you understand what I'm looking for. So when you open InDesign, you'll get this screen or something close to it, depending on the layout that or I should say it's called the workspace you've chosen. So under Window in the menu, you pick Workspace, click Select Typography. There are other ones like Digital Publishing would look like this and brings up menus relevant to that. But for our purposes today, just pick Typography. Easiest way to go there. Okay, so under File, select New Document. And then you have some choices here. Let's pretty much go with the presets. We'll stick with print for the intent. One page, one page. You can click off facing pages since there aren't any facing pages. It's a one-page document. Letter size is fine. Orientation, vertical there. Columns 1, gutter we can leave there. Margins 1/2 inch all around, that's fine. Don't worry about anything else and say OK. And InDesign brings up the page and it shows a guide showing our edges. So to start, you select the type tool on the left. Don't worry about typefaces, sizes, or anything. And you just drag like that and creates a box for your type. Don't worry about the size right now. And I'm going to do 6 apples is my adjective noun pair. 6 being an adjective, in this case describing a number of apples. And there you have it. So I'm good. So then so what I have to do in this case is I double click in here and select the type. Then my type menu items are up here in terms of font, weight, size, and other elements in here that we won't work on right now. So I want to get this bigger. And so I'm going to go select, I'll just try 48 points. That looks pretty good, just as an example. And now I can drag this around and place it in other places on my screen. Okay. If I double click and select it, or click and select, I can choose all the other things up here that affect type. So I can go, the default was Minion Pro. I can select, depending on the number of fonts available in your computer, there's a gajillion of them here. Please don't use any display fancy types like let's say, for example, marker felt. I want you to stick with conventional kind of typefaces that you typically see in print documents for informational purposes. So in this case, I'm going to go back up here, select it again, and I'm going to select, I'll just go with, let's see, I'll just go with one up here, Palatino. It's a classic kind of 20th century font, and I'll just select that. Okay. And now I've got my my one size. Now, one way to do this, the documents, I want you 3 weights. So one approach could be to select that and edit, copy, and then I can do edit paste in the Apple. It'd be Command V for paste, and I've got the second one. And then I could do that again, and I've got a third one. Now I've already intuitively know that 48 point is kind of the size I want for this. But now I said light, weight, light, medium, and bold weights. So I'm going to select 6 apples, and under Palatino, so I have regular and bold. I don't have light. So that's a problem. So I'm going to pick a different font. So let's just go with Calibri. If I open up Calibri, I see that it's got here all the ones I want. So I'll pick Calibri and I'll change it. Now I've got these in the wrong font because I want them to be the same font for this assignment. So I'll just select them and select the text, and I'll just quickly just go Calibri and I'll go here, select the text, Calibri, great. So now I'll go to this one, select the text, and I'm going to go under the weights, I'll go with light, and this one is regular or medium is fine, and finally down here I'm going to go with bold. So really what I'm asking you to do here is to just get used to using InDesign a little bit. Now in terms of where you want it on the page, think about the relationship. Now, thing InDesign does is that when I drag these around, it brings up little guides to automatically show the relationship of these objects to each other. And actually I think I want this centered. So if I select this guy here, okay, so the way to manipulate things like centering within the text area is that really whatever you put on the screen in a box, it considers a paragraph. So under let type, and I select paragraph, it brings up the paragraph control box, and then if I select the the 6 apples on top, and I say center, there we go, and I select this one and center and this one and center. So now it makes, when I drag this around, just putting it in the center of the page, and you see how these guides, if I just sort of slip it in there and there, it's also showing me the relative space to each other. When I drag it up, you see that those arrows there and the markers showing that they're about equal apart. Okay, and then if I now the way to see this without the guides here is to view extras, hide frame edges. There, now we can see how it looks without the frame edges. Okay, so then I've got that so far. So now I need my paragraph about why I chose 6 apples. So go back to my type tool, I drag a box, and I type in my sentence. I love apple pie using a 9-inch pie dish. Okay, so there's my paragraph. It has defaulted to, now if I bring up my type character controller, now I can control things just by selecting that guy. I can change things within the box without having to select it. So font-wise, let's go back up here. I'll choose the same one we chose for the for up top, and I can change the size here if I want. I can click up, or I can choose the size. Okay, and I want to think about a relationship to everything up here. I want to think about the relationship to the sides. I just want it to be comfortable. Remember in the reading we talked about the sins of basic sins of design. Well, avoid those to the extent it's very simple. And I'm thinking I want these a little bigger. So if I select all 3 together and I go here, and that changes all of them. If you want to get fancy, more advanced, I think the spacing between the letters in this one is kind of loose. So I want to control what's known as tracking, which would be this one here. So I'm going to do minus, if it lets me, oh, it could be kerning, sorry, wrong one. Tracking is this one here. And so I'm going to say minus 25, and that tightened it up, and I feel it just kind of looks better. And I'm going to tighten it up some more. Now, like, you don't have to do this more advanced stuff if you don't want. If you're not familiar with a program like this, but I'm going to tighten this one -25. So now, even though it's interesting visually, it seems smaller, the font, because they're tighter together, but it actually reads better. So that's pretty much it. And here I could leave it justified left. I could center it going to my paragraph controller. I've got paragraph left. I could do justified. Justified both ways, which spreads it out too much. That doesn't work. Those are those rivers we were talking about. And I think I'll just leave it like that. And maybe I'll make this a little bigger. So I'll go to, but now see what happens. It's gone out the end of my text box. So I just pull this down. It'll open it up and show the rest. It's interesting that it's hyphenated apples there, which I really don't want. So what I'm going to do, rather than try to figure out the preference for not hyphenating, I'm just going to drag this in until apples falls on the next line and get it centered there. And one last thing, because I'm like kind of a perfectionist, I think this is a little high. Let's bring this down, and I'm done. So that's it. 6 apples. It's an adjective noun pair. And my little description of why. So, think about the spaces around here. The space between 6 apples and the paragraph, between each one, to the sides and whatnot. And actually what I'll do is I can actually turn off. And the last thing I'll do is, because this box, this margin guide here, is influencing how this looks, the last thing I'll do is go to View, Grids and Guides, Hide Guides, and that's what it would look printed out without the margin edge. You might want to turn that off and decide that things are a little small, but because that line of the margin influences you, but I'm fine with this and I'm good. And that's it. At this point, you just save it, and then you can export it. You select Adobe PDF Print, give it a name, and just hit save. And then there's all these choices, and then you just do the defaults, say export, actually under high quality print. That's fine. Say export. And you should be good. Open that up, and that's what you submit to me. So have fun with this, and it's due in a couple weeks.